Hi, I'm Paul Simpson from the football club. Welcome to the Brunton Bugle.
Here we come, blue and white, and we're looking good. You'll be in for a fight, and we fight pretty good. Getting goals is our job, and we get goals good. Looking good, we are Carlisle United.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Brunton Bugle, the number one place to get your Kyanite fix in the podcast world. I'm Lee Rooney.
And I'm Dan McLennan.
A battling display sees United pick up a point against an impressive Wigan athletic side at Brunton Park. We review the 1-1 draw of the Latics before looking ahead to this weekend's game where Exeter City make the long journey up from Devon to Cumbria.
With a pass so true to Boulder Stone and Clark's in view. There's a cross and a run, the old one too.
Yes, it was the first time that the Latics made the trip up the M6 since, I think, the early noughties, actually, technically, in the Alta Windscreen Shield, wasn't it? Last time they came, I think.
I think it was 2000.
Yeah, 3-0 win, I seem to remember that was for them that day. Yeah, it tore us apart from what I remember. So, all things considered, I think we're reasonably happy with the result on Tuesday night, are we?
Yeah, I think beforehand, it's pretty obvious that Wigan are a bottom-end championship team artificially in League One. They are. Their initial games have shown that they are more than capable of overturning their points deduction. I mean, they've got rid of 7 out of 8 after 3 games, haven't they? So
yeah, it goes to show, isn't it? It goes to show. Yes, mate. How are you doing? We should have said it first.
yeah, not bad.
Yeah, looking forward to this weekend's game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, so just a reminder, obviously, before we get going, once again this season, for the 3rd season in a row, we are sponsored by the Carlisle United Supporters Club London Branch. The London Branch is open to all members, wherever you live. So you can live in Berlin, Timbuktu, Kathmandu, Pyongyang. We're not sure about that one, I think we said last week.
I don't think so.
They've probably not got the internet there, so they probably can't keep in good contact with them. Or if you live in, Harrowby or Sillif or somewhere like that, you can join up to the London Branch wherever you are. They do lots of good stuff in terms of tickets for away games and travel and things like that, and fundraising for the club. Find out more about them at their website, carlisle.londonbranch.org, or just grab one of the guys selling Hit the Bar, one of the away games this season. Right, Dan. Well, let's get sort of straight into it. It's probably going to be a slightly shorter episode today because there's no news to cover, is there? It's been a quiet week, interestingly. So, yeah, nothing to report there. But let's get straight onto the Wigan Athletic game. So, Carlisle won, Wigan Athletic won. In the end, I think we were trying to be optimistic in the build-up, weren't we? No, but maybe we could cause a shock or something. To get a point out of this is a really, really good result, I think, isn't it?
It was at half time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think at half time, if we'd been 2 or 3 down, I don't think many people would have complained.
No, absolutely. They were comfortably the better side in this one, and it was. I think this is kind of an eye opener to what the top teams in League One are going to be like this season, wasn't it? Compared against, I mean, they're look, we'll come on to talk about the game itself in a minute, but for me, they're the best side I've seen in a league game, possibly in the last decade in that first half. They were that good, weren't they? The way they sprayed the ball about and kept hold of it, and they created good chances. To be fair, they, like you said, they probably should have been further ahead. Wyke had one that hit the bar, obviously, and a few other ones. So, yeah, in the end, to battle back like we did, fantastic result. Can't grumble at all, can we?
No, not at all.
Yep. Right, when we heard rumours before the game about a change of formation and lineup, didn't we, Dan? That was flying around the fans. When it came out, it was the lineup that we'd been told to expect, but the formation wasn't, was it? It was slightly different in that sense. Yeah. So he's basically not really surprised seeing that Moxon was back in the starting 11 after missing the Oxford game with his illness, but also coming in with Ellis and Maguire with Charters, McCalmont and Back dropping out. I mean, Back once again not playing for a Tuesday night game as they're trying to ease him back from his recovery from his hamstring injury. From what Simmo said after the game, that's the last time we'll have to do that this season, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the pizza games and that, I would expect Ellis to play anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I don't think we've got a Tuesday night game now till October, have we? I think in the league possibly. So a little bit of a break for him there. Yeah, so that was the reason for that. Dropping out the squad altogether, we're back, as we mentioned before, Whelan and Harris. Yeah, so first half of this, Dan, obviously it was men against boys is probably a bit harsh, isn't it? But Wigan kept the ball so well, didn't they, in this game?
Yeah.
That they were a good side.
They were passing it about for fun.
You don't see many teams at our level do that, really, do you? Even at League One levels, you obviously step up from League Two. They're still fairly direct, most teams, aren't they?
Yeah. The line, when you looked at the lineup, it was strong. And Matt Smith, who they signed from Arsenal, and what was the lad beside him? Was it 26? Deco, was it?
Deco, yeah. I mean, that was his first start for them.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable because he looked like he'd been playing there for years, didn't he?
Yeah.
Really
McMenamin playing out wide, the Norwegian lad, is it, what was his name again? Asgard, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they all looked at... Asgard had a hint of Harry McCurdy about him for me, I thought.
Is that just the long hair and the ponytail, you think?
No, just he looked a little bit cheeky when he came off with his injury. Little seemed to wink and laugh, and
Well, if you watch the goal celebration, we'll talk about the goal in a minute. With Wyke's goal, he's doing a shush to the Warwick crowd, isn't he? Whereas Wyke sort of just not celebrating, isn't he? So
yeah,
which makes him look a little bit stupid when he's doing that. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they had just so much talent, especially in attack, really, and even in defence, they looked so comfortable on the ball, didn't they? Really, all of them playing out. The lad from Bayern Munich, obviously, you'd expect that, wouldn't you? But really, really impressive side. Even though Sean Clare playing it right back, he looks a really good signing as well from Charlton. This sort of. But first half, in terms of chances, there was a couple of long range efforts early on from Lang and McManaman that went just wide. Charlie White then hit the woodwork. Good save by Hurley, actually, because he sort of bounced up and almost over him, didn't it? So he did well to react. And then came the goal. I think the most frustrating thing, Dan, is it's another sloppy goal, isn't it?
Yeah. We were nowhere near Wigan's level, knocking it about in the first half. And, it was a bit of a... Guy had done well to win the ball.
Yeah.
But then undid the good work with a bit of a poor pass towards, was it Moxon, I think?
He was aiming for Moxon, and it got to Adiko. Yeah. And then Adiko gets away. And is it one of those moments where Moxon needs to take a booking and pull the lad down?
Yeah, possibly.
That's for me. I felt he probably could have done that. He didn't. The lad Adiko sprints well deep into our half, and then it's one of those ones where... Should Lavelle maybe stay on his feet? He sort of lunges in to try and win the ball instead of trying to stay with Wyke. As it was, the ball perfectly finds Wyke through on goal, and it's a beautiful finish over Holy, isn't it? Nothing Holy could do there. Holy's got to sort of make himself big and dive at his feet, and Wyke just dinks it over him into the back of the net, and it's 1-0. And I mean, what were you thinking at that point? Were you thinking this could be a really long night?
Basically, yeah. We hadn't done much prior to the goal, and it was one of those, if they get another quick, this could be a hard night. But no, we sort of rode the storm until half time, didn't we? And
yeah, I mean, I think Hughes hit the post as well for them, didn't he, with a header from a free kick as well. And then we had our one really big chance of the half, right at the end of the half, just before half time, where Gibson did well on the left, cuts inside into his right foot and sends a lovely ball to the back post. Edmondson just peels off his defender. I've seen a few people say you could do better. Maybe. I think it's a tough one because he's sort of stretching to get something on it, isn't he?
It was very similar to the Garner header against Fleetwood.
Yeah. I think this one's probably tougher than the Garner one. I think.
Yeah. I'd say it was
leaning back
tougher,
to get to it.
The way it went down and bounced up, it was very, very similar.
Yeah. I think the keeper might have had it covered if it had been on target, if it had bounced a little bit lower. But as it was, it didn't. Into the second half, a little bit of a tweak from Simmo in the formation into this second half, a little bit in. Wigan did sort of dominate the early stage of the second half. They had an early chance where Asgard was unmarked just outside the box and he hit a shot that Holy palmed away. And that just seemed to wake us up a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because they'd cut us open then and suddenly we became awake. And the goal, it all owes down to the hard work of Jordan Gibson in the industry from him, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. did great, tracking back, winning the ball and turning and moving with it.
Yeah, I think when you watch the highlights back, you think he only tracks Smith for a little bit and then wins the ball. But actually, he runs almost across the length of the pitch. It's about a good 40 yards. He tracks Smith and then just nicks it off him. Gets away, plays a little 1-2 with Maguire. Maguire's in, cuts inside, hits a low shot that deflects off Mellish, which catches out the keeper. He can only palm it out, and there's Mox and Johnny on the spot to fire it in the roof of the net and make it 1-1. And I think you said, Dan, didn't you? The roar when the ball hit the back of the net was just something you can't beat, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then, from then, all three sides of the ground were getting behind them, and it shell shocked Wigan a little bit. I thought, they were like, "Oh, Christ, we've got a game now,"
Yeah. Oh, we're not going to have the freedom of just spraying it about a bit. And actually, they did have chances after this, Wigan, some good chances, but they didn't dominate in the same way, did they? It was very much end to end from that point of both teams having a really good. It was a good game for League One football. Actually, the second half, I'd say. Not long after that, we could have easily gone 2-1 up when there was a cross from Moxon to the far post that Edmondson almost got the end of, but the keeper palms away. Plange had a header from a Gibson cross that he put just wide. Up the other end, they did have two chances where Humphreys and Lang wasted opportunities. Lang especially, he was clean through on the left, and I don't know why he tried to play it onto his right foot. Just go with your left foot and hit it, really, you'd think. In the end, maybe a point slightly harsh on Wigan, but I think actually for the hard work we put in the second half, I think it's fair enough, don't you?
Yeah, Wigan can rue not convert a couple of chances before we scored, but after the goal, we were the better team, so the draw was probably about right.
Very much a tale of two halves, though, wasn't it? In that sense, Wigan dominated that first half. Second half, much more balanced, and like you said, probably edged by us after our sort of fight back and showed a bit of spirit, wasn't it? It was really good to see. In terms of Wigan, before we talk about United and what happened there, I've got to say, if they play like they did the first half, the rest of the season, I wouldn't back against them for the players, would you?
No, they're going to be up there for me.
Yeah, even the minus 8 points.
Yeah, they look, Maloney looks as though he's done all right there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's done a really, really good job, to be fair. And fair play, the Wigan fans coming down, making a decent racket on a Tuesday night. Not a bad following
Good to see a good following on a Tuesday night, because it doesn't happen very much.
Well, quite often these Tuesday night games, the league gives us against teams like Cheltenham and Exeter and stuff like that, don't you? You're like, what's the point? Like, no one's going to travel. It kills the atmosphere for these games. Sometimes you want a couple of those local games to be the Tuesday night ones. Not all of them, I don't think, but just a couple, just to maybe boost the crowds a little bit for them. I thought fantastic effort from them. I don't know what's that weird thing they do when they get a corner, because normally you do that. There's that drum, the do 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 do. They do something different where they go ooh ah. It's like they're trying to eat one of their pies, and it's a bit hot for them, isn't it, or something like that? That's what it's like.
If you say so.
I've got to tell you.
How do you eat your pies?
I know, but I've got to tell you, Greg Bullman will not forgive me if I don't share his joke he told at the game last night. He said the Wigan fans must be delighted when they picked up the tickets and saw that they were going to in the Pioneer stand. No.
You got the tumbleweed sound effect.
Oh, okay. There you go, Greg. That's your joke. I've probably told it wrong, and he's probably going to be really angry now and said, "No, so you didn't nail it." Although I apologise, Greg, if I didn't. But there you go. So Simmo for this one, we mentioned the fact that he went for a back four. It was a change in terms of that. So obviously your back four with back Huntington, Lavelle, and Armour. Mellish did keep his place in the team. He went into a midfield. It was a midfield diamond though. So you had Guy sitting. Then you had your two your left side was Mellish, your right side was Moxon, then Gibson just in front of them behind the front two of Maguire and Edmondson. I don't think it really worked the diamond, do you?
No. Did it make Guy play too deep? I think Mellish as a midfielder only works mid-match when we adjust, possibly.
What's the thing? I think Mellish was probably one of the better midfielders in the first half. He was the only one chasing things down and trying to be industrious and trying to break a little bit beyond the back line and stuff. for me, I think it left Guy very exposed. He was sitting there deep and he didn't really have anyone around him. I think it did not get the best out of Moxon in the slightest. He was barely involved at times in the first half, and he was kind of like, this really isn't working for me. The problem with when you play Diamond is what you really need is two fullbacks that really bomb forward, don't you, and attack. Because you think back to when we had it under Greg Abbott, your fullbacks then would be like Simmo and Robson, wouldn't they? And they'd get forward as often as they could to support the attackers. But both Ellis and Armour were having to do so much defending in this game and were so exposed out wide, where Wigan were very strong. It meant it just didn't quite have the impact, did it?
No. We needed to make the changes, and obviously played a lot better afterwards. But I'm just Diamonds work, but not against such strong opposition. If that makes sense.
No, I think you got to bang on the money there. I think that it might. It's one of those ones with it. We'll talk a bit later when we do the Exeter preview, whether we use it this weekend against Exeter.
Yeah, I'm just going to, with no disrespect to Exeter, I would. Well, obviously we haven't seen Exeter yet, but you would place Wigan above Exeter in terms of strength. I would expect it to work better against an Exeter than a Wigan or maybe a Fleetwood.
Yeah. When we played it on Derby, it was the kind of one where we tried to dominate possession and keep the ball a lot, wasn't it? Whereas we were never going to do that on Tuesday night. Realistically, I know we're at home, but they're a much better side than us. that's just the hard facts on that one. So yeah, switch to 4-3-3 certainly had a positive effect. I thought Edmondson was very effective out wide actually, which is ironic considering Simmo's comments after the Harrogate game, isn't it? Really, he really caused problems there. Gibson as well, playing from the left as well. I mean, normally with Gibson, he's one of those ones I've always thought he's so much more effective playing on the right, but actually, he had a great game playing on the left, didn't he? Let's talk about him first then, Dan. I mean, where would you put that performance from Jordan Gibson in terms of his time as a Carlisle player?
Certainly up there.
Yeah, so effective.
Has to be, yeah.
What impressed you about his performance on Tuesday night?
It just seemed to come together for him, if that's the correct
terminology.
Correct term, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of just felt like it was clicking. He was demanding the ball, wasn't he? And he was dragging defenders out the way. His use of the ball was much better than it has been at times in the past. But I mean, is there a strong argument he's probably been our best player in these opening 3 league games?
He's definitely up there.
Yeah, for me, I think he. Maybe wouldn't say comfortably is, but he's. I think I agree. If there's anyone else contending with him, he's up there though. Definitely is one of the best, and just need to see more of that, don't you? It's one of those ones. If he keeps doing that, is what you look and think. Right, we need to start getting him tied down on a longer deal because his deal runs out at the end of the season. So you don't want to end up losing him like you might lose others. Sean Maguire, first start. What do you think?
Not bad. He obviously had a family-related problem at the weekend.
Yeah.
Hopefully everything's all good for him now. But yeah, I mean, he was always going to tire, I think, because he's still catching up a little bit. But good signs. I think once he hits his full fitness in a couple of weeks, we could have a very useful player. Yeah.
I think he used the ball very well. He was very good at nipping about and trying to nick it back and stuff like that. We're going to need a few players like that who are good at nicking the ball back, aren't we, this season? Because we are going to be relying on playing counter-attacking football a lot of the time, I think. So it's really good to see him. He's good at that. But I agree with you. If I'm going to get his fitness up, he could be a really, really big player for us. Well, come on now. I've delayed it long enough because me and Mike and others that we saw at the game took the mickey out of you for your Luke Plange goal scorer prediction on for Tuesday night. Now, he didn't score, but credit where it's due. He had a good game, didn't he?
Just called me the Oracle.
What did you make of his performance then? Because I thought when he first came on, he did something he'd done at Oxford on Saturday where he got the ball 35, 40 yards from goal and tried a low left foot shot that went straight at Ryan Edmondson. And I was kind of like, it's more of the same. What's he doing? But after that, he really stepped up on Tuesday night, didn't he? And his performance was excellent.
Yeah, he's another week in. He'll be a little bit more settled. He'll be more used. He'll be starting to know the lads, getting used to being up at Carlisle. You've got to remember he's come 300 miles.
Yeah.
At a young age, it's a big move for him. More of the same, and we'll be a lot happier.
Do you think he's the kind of player who's probably going to be a bit more of an impact sub for now?
Players like that, yeah. But
I'm not.
Simmo's always talked about having starters and finishers, and with increased injury time, finishers are almost playing as many minutes as starters.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good to have options to switch round. When someone does have a little dip, you can switch it round. I mean, Butterworth hasn't featured much. He's still got games to play. We all know we want another one in. So
yeah, definitely. I think we're probably gonna have to wait a little while for that, I suspect. But there you go. But no, I agree. I thought it was impressive, especially when he drifted out wide. I thought he looked really, really useful, and he caused a few problems. And yeah, you can see the ability there, can't you? I think he just needs to click on quicker that he's not playing under 21 ones football anymore, and he hasn't got as much time in the ball. But then again, he's not the only one. There was plenty of other players who were like that on Tuesday night. I think Guy and Moxon a couple of times were caught out on the ball, and I think they need to click on a little bit quicker that, okay, we're not going to have the same amount of time we had in League Two. So, it'll take time. I'm sure we'll get there. What was your thoughts on the back four that played? Obviously, we had back Huntington, Lavelle, and
I thought Jack Ellis did all right coming back in. Jack Armour was okay. I thought they were just okay. I think Lavelle looked a little bit better in a 4 than a 5, but I think he's more a central player anyway. If we have a 3 for me,
I feel Lavelle. I think he had a decent game-ish defensively, but I have a slight concern about him playing the left side of that back four of the two centre backs, because there was 2 or 3 times first half where he tried to pass a ball to Armour and he used his right foot, and because of the way you play with your right foot in that position instead of a left footer, the ball basically went straight to one of their players instead of Armour, and we got caught on the break a couple of times. So that's where I have a slight concern. Other than that, I thought they were excellent. And as you say, Ellis, fair play to the lad. That was a really, really tough test for him, but I thought he limited Asgard's opportunities, didn't he? And then Barkley came on and did a good solid job to cover for the last 10 or 15 minutes, didn't he? So
yeah,
really, really good to see. Right, should we play one of the only 6-second review actually we have got this week. So this is our old friend Regan, and here is his 60-second review.
Wigan at home. So a good point, much improved from Saturday. The change in shape's clearly done something. The first half, I think we just kind of rode it out and made sure that we got to half time no more than 1 down. And then the second half with the change in shape, we come into the game a lot more, and we definitely held our own, and obviously got the goal and pushed. Potentially could have had another one, but obviously you take the point. They're a really good team, the way they knock the ball about. I do like Edmo out wide. I think he's more influential there. Potentially years ahead, he could be that man that sticks up front, and he could be a kind of like Charlie White type of player. But I think Gibson was really good today. Probably one of the best games he's had in a Carlisle show. He was really effective, and Plange as well off the bench. I think it's telling of his character that when he's tracking back or when he's battling for the ball, all the players are always going over at him and sort of telling him to keep going on that. I think if they weren't doing that and they were just walking away, then it would reflect quite poorly on him. I think one player who's not at the club anymore, potentially kicking himself a little bit if he's still keeping an eye on for us, is Amari Patrick, because in the system that we lined up in that second half, he would have been really effective, and he'd have got another crack at League One. But that's just how it is. We've got the players there now to play out wide, and on to Saturday, up the Blues.
Pretty good assessment, I think, there from Regan. Interesting point about Patrick there, though, isn't it?
I hope he got those dishes put away.
Yeah, he's busy doing the dishes while he's recording with us. Yeah. But yeah, interesting one about Patrick, obviously, because he had a great start at Sutton on the first game. 2 defeats in a row since then, so yeah. But then again, it's about being happy, isn't it? If he's happier down south, and good luck to the lad. pretty much fair on all the other points. I'd say interesting one about Plange and noticing that the players are all, encouraging him and stuff. I guess that's a sign of, maybe the lad's confidence is down a little bit from those first few games of not making the impact, and they all just want to give him a bit of a lift, don't they?
Yeah, the majority, not the majority, but a large percentage of last season's squad, which is deemed, one of the best in terms of, friends and atmosphere and that are there. And I think I've noticed a couple of the new signings there. It's been very easy to slot in. So it obviously is a good dressing room at the moment, so...
Yeah, it's good to see, isn't it? It's good to see. Right, before we go to the mid-show break, then, Dan, shall we have a quick rundown of the League One results for midweek? Barnsley not having the best of starts, are they? I think it's fair to say. They've lost 3-1 at home against Peterborough, who I think we kind of expected them to be up there. I think we all sort of predicted them to be round about the playoffs, didn't we, I think, for this season, from memory.
Barnsley won 7-0 on the first game. Yeah,
it's mad, that, isn't it? Well, I say they haven't had a great start, but they won the first game 7-0, but then... Have they won a game since then? I'm just double checking. Yeah. Well, they've drawn one since then, so maybe slow down. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there, but I mean, bear in mind, Peterborough have won all 3 games, so yeah, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Blackpool 0, Port Vale 0. Probably not much to say about that one, is there? Bolton 3, Fleetwood 1. Bolton, your tip for top spot are flying, Dan.
Flying, absolutely flying.
3 games in, plus 8 goal difference. Only conceded 1 goal. It should have been 3-3-0s in a row, shouldn't it, really? But second half, they just lost their heads a little bit. I see that Dion Charles got sent off, which means he can't play against Wigan for them at the weekend. But also Ian Evatt was sent off, although he's had his rescinded. I think he's given a £1,000 fine instead. So, yeah, great start from Bolton. Cambridge's good start came to an end, but Stevenage's great start continues. 2-1
bit of a derby,
win.
that, isn't it, Cambridge-Stevenage?
Yeah, kind of. It's not too far between the two.
I think the fans, for some reason, don't quite like each other.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because I imagine they wouldn't have had that much of a rivalry in the past because they wouldn't have played each other for a long time, I guess. But there you go. But yeah, 2-1 with Stevenage. I mean, give him some credit. Steve Evans is doing a cracking job there, isn't he? It's pretty fair to say. He's some decent recruits this summer, and they find themselves in third. I mean, look, we don't want to talk too much about the table this stage, but the third place with 3 games gone, 9 points, they'd argue they're 20% of the way roundabout to staying up, aren't they? So, they'll be pretty happy with that. Obviously, we drew 1-1 with Wigan. Charlton 1, Bristol Rovers 2. Dramatic game, this one, wasn't it? 98th minute winner for Bristol Rovers at Charlton. Not a bad start for
Charlton apparently have a lot of injuries early.
I might explain it then, really.
Because I think they struggled, was it at Peterborough the week before? The weekend?
Yeah, I'm just looking. They've won 1 and lost 2 so far. So
I do believe they've got several annoying injuries.
Yeah, I mean, Bristol Rovers, 1 win, 2 draws, not lost yet, so they'll be pretty happy with that start for them.
Definitely.
Derby, though, not having the best of starts, are they? 2-1 home defeat to Oxford United, and I mean, I wasn't that impressed with Oxford at the weekend, if I'm honest, when we played against them. Early days, I know, but I'm sure Derby would have been looking at that thinking, okay, that's a chance for us to get 3 points on the board and get going. But no, as it is, 3 games in, a loss, a win, a loss for them. So not a great start. Northampton 2, Lincoln City 2. 2 late goals here from Northampton, wasn't it, to get their first point of the season. It was Sam Hoskins with a 98th minute equaliser in this one. Brilliant stuff for them.
1 or 2 late goals, wasn't there?
There was actually, yeah. Shrewsbury Town 2, Burton Albion 1. So again, Shrewsbury having a fairly decent start, 2 wins and a loss. Find themselves in 7th place.
I think I said in a chat where I was disappointed with the amount of Burton fans because it's not that far. Eh?
I don't think it's that far, but I'd say it's. I'm pretty sure it's A roads all the way, and getting from the M6 to Burton is a pain. So I think getting over to Shrewsbury probably not the easiest. But again, maybe you'd expect 1 or 2 more to be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, so I mean, Burton are not having a great start at all. 3 defeats in a row so far, so not looking great for them. Also, 3 defeats in a row to start the season. Leyton Orient, Dan. 3-2 defeat of Wycombe Wanderers, who got their first win of the season. Bit chaotic this game, wasn't it, by the sounds of things?
Yeah.
They had a man sent off during the game later on, and then they had both Richie Wellens and Paul Terry sent off after the final whistle for just trying to go and talk to the ref by looks of things. And do you know who the referee was for that game?
Yeah.
Mr. Thomas Parsons. And if everyone's thinking, why does that name sound familiar? Mr. Thomas Parsons was, of course, the referee for Carlisle v Leyton Orient last season. So, a bit of a taste of his own medicine there, really, isn't it, for Wellens? As it is, I think they've both had their red cards overturned now, I think.
Yeah.
So they're going to be available to be on the bench for this weekend. I don't know how Parsons is a Football League referee. He's absolutely appalling. Never seen him have a good game. But yeah, 3-2 win for Wickham. Not a great start for Leyton Orient, though, is it? Really, really struggling without a couple of the players they've lost this season. What I'd say is, I was talking with someone about this, I think they've probably had the toughest start of the lot, though, haven't they? When you look at it. Charlton away, Portsmouth at home, and then Wickham away. You know, all teams that, you know, you'd thought would be right up there this season, wouldn't you? So, not the easiest baptisms in this division. And then Portsmouth 1, Exeter 0, so narrow win for Pompey, but they'll be happy with that one. And Reading 1, Cheltenham 0. Oh, Reading, that was their first win of the season, which took them ahead of us. And then a day later, they dropped below us, didn't they? Because they've had a point deducted for not paying the players on time. So, you know, we were in 18th.
Moved up the table without playing a game.
Brilliant, that, isn't it? Superb stuff. But there you go. So that's a roundup with the League One results for midweek. We'll be back shortly to a look ahead to the Exeter City game after this break.
Hi, I'm Owen Moxon, and you're listening to the Brunton Bugle.
Yes, we're into the second half of the show where we're going to be looking ahead to this weekend's game against Exeter City. It's going to be a slightly shorter show today because we don't have a behind enemy lines, do we, Dan? Unfortunately, hadn't had a chance to fit one in, so just going to be me and you talking about all things Exeter City this one.
That'll be good for anyone because it's not one of my strongest subjects. But
No, we have a bit of a more knowledge of most League One teams of them, though, haven't we? From having played them a lot.
Played them a bit, haven't we?
In recent seasons. So Exeter City. I don't know what to make of them this season. I think I predicted they might struggle a little bit because I feel when you look at the squad, I feel like they've lost quite a few key players, and I say that with a level of irony because one of them's Josh Key, but they've made a few decent additions. You know, they've always got a few loanees in. Jack Aitchison did quite well at Forest Green, I think, didn't he, a couple of years back? And Tom Carroll's the one that really stands out there. But I mean, what's your thoughts on Exeter this season?
They're a bit of a different club, Exeter, because obviously they are sort of fan owned, and they've got, you know, their trust is one of the best in the country in terms of numbers and involvement and stuff. And they ran quite well. You know, they've done well off young player sales in recent years. You know, Grimes, Ampadu, there's been a couple of us, you know, and they've used that money quite well. And they're not a bad club, Exeter. They're quite one way you sort of think, do all right, you lot, consider your size and location. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think they're one of those clubs you look at and think they're probably a slightly smaller club than us, aren't they? Really, they're similar to us in many ways. You know, like I said, they're quite isolated from other clubs. I know they've got Plymouth just down the road, but because of the way Devon is with the roads, it might as well be a million miles at the time, mightn't it? Yeah. So they've got that. They're just like you said, a very well run club. I think the way for us, they should be used as an example for how they handle their youth side of things, shouldn't they? Because if you look, I mean, I'm just looking at their squad now on Transfermarkt now, and it tells you the players that have come through the youth system that summer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 players have come through this summer alone from their youth system into their first team squad. And I think if you go down through the actual squad, the amount who are in there now who started in their youth setup is pretty high as well. I think there's about 4 or 5 more. And that's the kind of thing we should probably be aspiring to, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, everyone loves it when you have young players come through, and you know, we've had our moments of that. You know, we've done quite well over the years at various times, and it's at our level, it's something that it's important, isn't it? You know, because it's a way of bringing money in, which at the end of the day runs a game, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the key thing, isn't it? Yeah, it just kind of feels like they maybe sort of hit a little bit of a ceiling at the moment. And this is the problem they had last time they came up to League One, isn't it? They get to a certain point and they maybe find it hard to push above that, which is kind of the thing that we have as well in that sense, because there's so many big clubs that come down from the Championship now, isn't there? That it becomes a real challenge to try and compete with them for players. We've seen it this summer. Look, we've been gazumped by other clubs who are offering 3 times what we can offer in wages, and that's our best paid wages that we're offering there as well. So it goes to show the stark difference between the two clubs there, doesn't it? One of the two clubs, so between us and the haves and the haves not in this level, isn't it?
Yeah, League One's probably the division where you get the most sort of disparity between clubs. I mean, you look at Derby, 30-odd thousand. You've got teams who can get 15 to 20 regularly, like Bolton, Portsmouth, Barnsley, Charlton, and then at the bottom end you have got your Burtons and Cheltenhams who get 2,000 to 3,000. So, you always get what in Derby, you would deem Derby a championship size club. There's always a couple of those in this division, so it's probably the one where the difference is most noticeable.
Yeah, it's. I noticed you didn't mention Wigan Athletic in the 15 to 20,000 things there, because we got an email about this week, didn't we? From a Wigan fan complaining about someone's comments about the crowds that Wigan get.
Yeah,
I
was looking at Wigan's crowd for some reason the other day, and I remember mid-90s when Wigan used to get 2,000 to 3,000, and yes, when they went in the Premier League years, they were getting 18,000, sometimes even 20. But the last sort of 4 or 5 years, it's more 9 to 11-ish.
Yeah. I think his complaint was about our comments about their Premier League level crowds, which was slightly out, but I don't think they're out as much as he made out. They're about 18.
No, I don't think it was. It wasn't taking on anything, was it?
No, just being realistic, wasn't it? Yes. So, Exeter, you wanted to make a bit of a comment about their journey up as well, Dan, before. I think
interesting that they said that they actually set off on Thursday and were stopping at Mottram Hall, which is quite well known. Yeah. Quite a few clubs use that here and there. And then we're recording today, Friday, they were then going from, I think they're planning to train in the morning at Mottram Hall.
Yeah.
And then travel up in the afternoon to, I think it's Penrith. And
North Lakes, was
then,
it?
Yeah, and then on to Carlisle Saturday morning. It's not often you get teams do 2 nights, is it?
No, and especially not a club of the size of Exeter. I mean, they must be really wanting to have a go and try and win this game this weekend, doing what they can. Is it, small margins and all that, so fair play to them. Looking through their squad, Dan, standout men for you?
Sorry, I've got something else open on my phone.
It's quite a lot of turnaround from the squad in the league in League Two, isn't it? Actually,
I was
2 seasons in.
They've had a lot of people go. They've brought a few in. They've used the loan market already, 3 of them in. I don't think there's a real standout.
Sam Nombe's quite a good striker, isn't he?
Yeah, Nombe possibly. But I think it's more a squad, if you know what that means.
Yeah, he looks a squad of solid players, would you say, yeah?
Yeah, solid, yeah. No headline, but plenty of decent, capable players.
And Dimitri Mitchell came through Man United's ranks, I think, didn't he? He's quite a decent player. I think he was at Blackpool a few years back, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that one? I suppose Pierce
Sweeney is a stalwart, isn't he? Yeah. There's a good word.
I'm going to say he's been there many years now, although he did have a brief breakaway, didn't he? For 1 week at Swindon he went to?
Yeah.
Left them, went to Swindon, got homesick very quickly and rejoined them.
Yeah.
Bizarre move that, wasn't it? And I think we said there before, Tom Carroll, if they can get him fit and performing, he should be a real standout player at this level, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should do.
Yeah. Gary Caldwell, their manager, obviously former Wigan manager, did quite well at Wigan, actually, didn't he? He's one of those ones who's he's got a bit of stick from the work he's done in other jobs, hasn't he? Because he maybe hasn't done as well, but I think he's coming to a club here, I think, where he's got a chance to maybe put a bit of a stamp on it, isn't he, really? I think they're quite happy to let the manager have a bit of control about the style of play and stuff like that, aren't they?
He is a random one. The first 3 visiting managers to Brunton Park this season have all had decent careers at Glasgow Celtic.
That's a good point, that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Scott Brown, Sean Maloney, and Gary Colmore.
Yeah, I think the next one's Matty Taylor,
someone mentioned it on. Someone mentioned it to me Tuesday night. I thought that'll do for the Bugle.
Yeah, lovely little fact there. Thank you very much. Whoever mentioned that to Dan. Good stuff. Midweek, last time out for Exeter. We mentioned it before. They lost 1-0 at Portsmouth. No disgrace in that though. Colby Bishop scoring the only goal. I mean, he was one of the top scorers in the division last season, so really you'd expect him to be getting a few again this year. It was their first defeat of the season though as well. So to only lose 1-0 at Portsmouth, I suppose they won't be happy losing, but they'll say, okay, you're not going to win them all. Solid enough start, isn't it? Really. Yeah. Let's move on to some of the other key facts, and obviously in terms of the match official for this one, Dan Adam Herczeg from County Durham. It's his second season as an EFL referee. This season, sorry, that was another thing I was going to read there that I was not supposed to read. Last season, he handed out 83 yellows and 2 red cards in 26 games. And the last United game he took charge of was the 1-0 win over Bradford City on Boxing Day last year. No United players booked that day. Yeah, I don't think there's any real controversy in terms of what he's done in Carlisle games yet, so plenty of time for him to change that, isn't there, as usual? Head-to-head record, 68th meeting between the two sides, which is incredible when you think at the weekend, or midweek, was our 18th meeting with Wigan Athletic, and we played Exeter 50 more times than them. But it's kind of like, it's weird because Wigan have just never been quite the same level as us, has they? They got into the league quite late. And then when we had our little plummet down the leagues, I think they sort of shot up a little bit briefly, didn't they? And then came back down to be at our level. And then we sort of yo-yoed with them for a while, didn't we?
Yeah. One of those teams that we just always seem to play, I think. I think the playoff games sort of exasperated that a little bit. It's...
I mean, there's 4 games in that season alone, wasn't there? It's just show, isn't it? That's added to the total.
Well, three of them were in about 15 days, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, the Grecians are on top in terms of head-to-head. We've won 20. 18 have been draws, and the Grecians have won 29 of those. Right, Dan, you've got a played for both?
Yeah, it's a belter this week. Proper good one.
Who are you going for?
Proper good one. I have gone for Eric Welsh.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Born in 1942 in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and apparently still alive at the age of 81. Good to hear.
Wow.
He was a right winger, and I think he played obviously in junior football in Northern Ireland, and he was picked up by Exeter City. And he had several seasons there, played over 100 games, scored a few goals. Yeah. And in the mid-60s, 65, he came to Carlisle United. Spent 4 years with us, scored 17 in 75 in the league. Decent and effort. While he was with us, he got a Northern Ireland call-up 4 times. And until recent seasons, was our most capped international for a long, long time. He was then overtaken by 1 or 2 players who played for various...
Reggie Lamb overtook him, and that is a bone of contention for a few people I know. The fact that Reggie Lamb is our record and international appearance holder.
Hallam Hope was going to be, but some of his got chalked off, didn't they?
It did, yeah. Poor bugger.
Very bizarrely.
Yeah. Welsh would have got a lot more caps, though, wouldn't he? Because the problem for him was he was competing with George Best, wasn't he? For a place in the Northern Ireland team, so yeah.
But he liked a good move, because when he left us in 69, he went back down to the southwest. He went to Torquay for a couple of seasons. And then after 2 years there, he went to Hartlepool United for a year.
Bloody hell. And likes the extremes, doesn't he?
Yeah. His next teams were in South Africa. He must have moved to South Africa because he played for Port Elizabeth City, Salisbury, and Hellenic. They're actually nicknamed the Greek gods. There's a good name. And he finished his career playing for Distillery or Lisbon Distillery, as they're known these
Yeah.
days. And so that's they're playing for both. Eric Welsh, our former most capped player.
Fantastic stuff. I haven't done a full list of players because I just haven't had time to do it this time, unfortunately. Tom Parks and Jamie Robinson, there's two for you, just throwing them out there off the top of my head. They both play for both, if I remember rightly. Right, let's talk about United then, Dan. Injury-wise, it sounds like both McGeoch and Nugent are back fit, but they're not going to be featuring this weekend. I mean, we didn't want to expect Nugent to anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a reserve game next week where I would expect both to get minutes.
I think, did they say they were looking to...
Blackburn, was it?
I think they're looking to arrange a game against Blackburn, and then there's a Central Cup game the week after as well, isn't there, I think, is the way it's working, I think. So I think Nugent, they're going to save for the Central Cup game, but then I think the other reserve game, McGeoch will definitely play in that as well, so that'll be a good test for them. And obviously Max Kilsby out on loan and an Athletic, give him a little shout out because he scored in midweek, didn't he, Dan?
Yeah, in the Challenge Trophy, which is their version of the pizza, unfortunately, where a lot of B teams play. So
the B teams play in the one in Scotland as well?
Yeah.
They do. Is that the same one as the one that has all the teams from Northern Ireland and Wales in it, or is that...
I think it did at one point, yes.
Well, I mean, that's good. That's more fun than getting B teams in it, isn't it? But there you go. No, well done, Max. A 3-1 win in midweek. You got the goal in there. Right, formation for this one then, Dan. What do you do? Do you stick with a 4 at the back and go with the diamond or 4-3-3, or do you go back to that 3-5-2 for this one?
Probably 3-5-2 for me at home.
Yeah? You think you go back to it? Get Mellish back into defence, marauding forward, and what would you do then in terms of the midfield three for this one if you did that? I think the back five picks itself, and we know that. Or back five or back four will pick itself either way.
Yeah.
But what would you go for in terms of your midfield three?
I think Guy and Moxon are pretty...
Yeah.
Probably Guy, Moxon and Gibson, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think Gibson's done enough to show... I think, he was better out wide in the second half against Wigan, but that was in particular circumstances. And I think actually in a midfield three with those two, that is an actual midfield three and not a diamond.
Yeah, when it's sort of playing as a slightly drawn back 10 type thing.
Yeah, but
it will allow the fullbacks to do what they do best, and that's get up and down and get crosses in.
And he could drift out wide and support Finn back on the right, is what he usually does, doesn't he? When he played that last season. So front two, would you stick the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, stick with Edmondson and Maguire. I think there was good signs there on Tuesday, so we're pretty happy with that. I think we agree with the Plange is an impact sub at the moment, isn't he? I think if he can come on and make a really strong impact like he did on Tuesday night, you'd be happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You know, like I said earlier, Butterworth and Garner haven't featured. You know, we've got options all over.
Yeah, definitely. Right, next. I mean, looking at the next 6 fixtures, Danny, it's these next 3. I think are quite big ones, aren't they, in terms of trying to get some good points out of them? Because after that, you've got Stevenage away, which is going to be a tough test by looks of things. Lincoln away, first time we've been there in years, and they're always a half decent side. Then Derby at home. So these 3. Exeter at home, Port Vale away, and Shrewsbury at home, you'd hope to get maybe 5 points at least out of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you've been positive here. Match predictions time. I think I've not updated the points totally actually, because Mike hadn't sent it to me when I put the thing together. But I think I'm on 3 points. You're on 1.
No, I'm on 2.
Are you on 2? Sorry, you're on 2. I'm on 3.
I can't remember if you explained, but Mike's put a new scoring system in place.
Yeah, I'll let him do it next time, mate. It's something like different points for scorers and correct scores and correct results and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I think I'm on 3, you're on 2, and Mike's on 0. So nothing's really changed there. Is it me and you up at the top and Mike struggling behind this season? What are you going to go for this one?
Solid 2-0 win for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go for Edmondson and Gibson.
Ooh, okay. I'm also going to go for 2-0, but I'm going to go for goals from Maguire and Lavelle. Let's go Maguire and Lavelle for my goal scorers. Here's Mike's prediction for the game.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win with goals from Maguire and Gibson.
Well, so there's a good mix across us there, isn't it, really? The similar sort of players. He's picked one each of one of the ones we've picked, hasn't he? So fair play to him. Right, X-Files time, Dan. Fairly quiet midweek, wasn't it?
Yeah, you have missed one or two out, I sent you.
Did you say? You know what?
I will let you off. You're bloody useless at times, you Rooney.
I think what it is, I think I did this very early, so that's probably why I've missed them.
Yeah, I'm just getting up the list right. Yeah, midweek there wasn't actually much action.
No.
Well, there was action. There wasn't much ex-Blues action. The main one, James Tavernier scored a big goal for Rangers. 1-1 draw against Servette. Gets them through to a double-header against PSV Eindhoven to qualify for the Champions League. Ashley Addison played well for Gillingham. Scored the only goal in a 1-0 win. They went top of League Two. They're the only 100% team, I think.
Only 100%, and they've won all 3 games 1-0 as well. So,
yeah.
1-0 to the Gillingham, which was raining out there this season.
Andy Cook, 4 games in, still hasn't scored, and when you miss a penalty, that doesn't help things, does it?
No, in a 1-1 draw against Stockport.
Also, another one, Mark Beck scored on Wednesday night for Solihull. I think they won 2-1 at Boreham Wood. And one transfer of note this week, I'm just checking there's none other. Former loanee, Tim Krul.
Yeah.
Moved to Luton. Good little move for him from Norwich.
Yeah. Been there for a few years at Norwich now, hasn't he? So I think it being stuck in the Championship probably didn't quite suit him, did it? I think he wanted to get a move. So no, fair play to him.
Yeah.
And that's it, isn't it, Dan? I think. Nice short episode this week. The dogs will be relieved. The dog walkers not so much, I think. But but there you go. So that's this week's episode done. Thanks once again to our sponsors, the London branch, for their support this season. Just a reminder, if you want to get in contact with us, you can drop us an email, bruntonbugle@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Brunton Bugle is the handle for those. On Facebook as well, just search for the Brunton Bugle and click like for the page. And yeah, just remember to subscribe to the podcast as well. They're all good podcast apps, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts, all those. And if you do have the opportunity to review podcasts on the service you use, please do give us a 5-star review if you can. That'd be really fantastic. Up next we'll have the Exeter City review following the weekend, and then a preview of the Port Vale game of the bank holiday weekend, would it, Dan? So it's all coming thick and fast, and maybe have a little bit of a transfer special if something comes up later on in the transfer window at the end of August as well. Maybe something we could look at. Dan, thanks for giving up your time today. Always appreciated. Thanks everyone for listening, and up the Blues.
Up the Blues.